How in the world do you negotiate with a candidate that didn't interview well? Hey, welcome to the Millionaire Recruiter. I'm Brianna Rooney, your Millionaire Recruiter. If you haven't seen this channel before, it's all about making you the next Millionaire Recruiter. Super fun. Another closing call session. I have been doing these closing, I have been doing these closing videos for the last 2 weeks. If you're new to the channel, it is themillionairerecruiter.com. Definitely check out that course that helps you, with all your fundamentals to be the next millionaire recruiter. And in addition, I have had this channel, which has been really fun because I get a lot of really great feedback from you on the channel, on LinkedIn, on email. It's been great. And it's every Thursday at noon. So definitely like, subscribe, and comment because this is where I get a lot of motivation and get excited. So if you did not see the last 2 videos about closing candidates, definitely check those out for sure. This is the 3rd one. Again, there's so much meat to closing candidates. There's so many different situations. This will not be the last one, but maybe for a couple weeks, just in case people, want other things. So, all right. This one comes from one of the comments on the last couple videos, and there's 2 parts to this. So what this one will be about is how can we negotiate with the candidate that perhaps didn't do as well as the client wanted. Therefore, the client didn't give them the offer the candidate had asked for. This is very difficult. I will definitely say that this is one of the harder closes. There are 2 reasons why this close is difficult, and it's because we're human beings. So as a recruiter, and anyone that I've ever known in life, no one wants to give bad news. Now here's interesting. There's good news and bad news. The good news is they're getting an offer. The bad news is, and probably all they hear, is it's not the offer that they wanted because they didn't interview well. So as a recruiter, you have to have what I like to call a shit sandwich. So you have to give the good news, the bad news, and follow in with the good news and put it all nicely in a sandwich. So the good initial news is, by the way, just a little side note, stand up whenever you are delivering an offer. Please stand up. You get more excited when you stand. They can hear it. It just really, comes through the phone. Okay, so you're standing, you're saying, great news. Let's use Google. Google really wants you to join their team. They think you can make a solid impact. I'm so excited for you. This is exactly the company you wanted. Amazing. What do you think? So before even delivering the news, you are getting them really excited, which, by the way, you should do all the time. So then in the middle, after they're already, committing, they can see themselves there, they're ready to sign, stuff like that. You then say, okay, the only thing, now remember, you don't want to say the only bad news, the only negative, anything negative, let's double that up, anything negative, you want to avoid that wording. Because remember, a lot of people shut down during a conversation when they don't hear what they want to hear. And they're not listening to all the good stuff. So you don't want to trigger them. So you'll just say, the only thing is, you didn't exactly interview up to par as for per position, but they enjoyed you so much and they see so much potential in you, so they still want to make you an offer, so it's amazing. So you're kind of letting them marinate a little bit. You let them down rather easily, and regardless of how bad perhaps that feedback is, you're still massaging it very nicely, right? Okay. So then you're going to say, the offer is, tone of voice still is really great, $150,000 a year, blah, 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 whatever it is. Do not say, I know this is $10K less than you wanted. Because guess what? The moment you acknowledge that is the moment they are like, yeah, it is $10K less. You don't want to do that whatsoever. You let them tell you that. So you deliver, it's $150K, it's so exciting, you get these great stock package, you get the stock package, you get all these benefits, and they would love for you to start in 2 weeks. What do you think? Okay, that was exciting. So then you wait for this person to say, well, Brianna, I really wanted 160K. You and I talked about that. Because that person might say that. Most people will be very blunt about it. Or the person will not tell you, which is the worst because they're not comfortable. You want to make sure they're always comfortable. And they will say, oh, okay, great. Well, let me think about it and I'll get back to them in a few days. Here's what they're saying. They are not happy. They will not tell you. And they're going to find reasons as to muster up the courage to negotiate, or they're so nervous to do any of those things, even to tell you, that they're going to go find another opportunity to go get paid what they want. Tragedy, and it happens, I'm telling you, all the time. So if someone does not accept verbally over the phone, it is extremely important to find out why. Now, some people might say, well, I have to think about it. I have to talk to my husband, I have to talk to my wife, my significant other, my father, my mentor, whoever the heck they have to talk to, right? Super normal. That's fine. So you say, oh no, I totally get it. Yeah, absolutely. Take your time. Just so you know, the company would really love to hear like a positive feedback if that's the way you're leaning towards, because they're so excited. They want you to be excited. You know, you have that mutual relationship. You can say that. Or you can just say, okay, you know what, I can kind of hear in your voice that perhaps there's a little hesitation to not accept. What do you still need clarification on? Or what's holding you back to accept right now? You told me this was your top choice, you know? So you have to have this conversation. Remember. This is one of the keys in every closing video I do, is do not hear what you want to hear. Listen and absorb and take notes. Because most people, again, only want to hear what they want to hear. It is super, super common. So do not make that same mistake. It's rookie. All right, so again, if someone is not verbally accepting on the phone, what are you going to do? You are going to ask them why. So now let's dig back to what the real problem was. The problem was they didn't interview well. And a lot of people have a hard time taking responsibility for their own faults. So you have to help them with this. You have to be the counselor and the cheerleader at the same time, but you also have to tell them the way it is. Your job as a recruiter is to get the most money. Let them know that. That's okay. So you can say, look, so-and-so, I told you at the beginning, always tell them at the beginning, if you interview well, I will negotiate well. I held up my part of the bargain. Perhaps you just got nervous during the interview. Perhaps they were looking for something a little bit different. Regardless, we don't have a lot of negotiating power here because your interview wasn't up to par for this role initially. Totally fine. How about this so-and-so? What if I go back to Google and I say, you wanted 10K higher and you would love if you could have an early review to prove yourself. Do you think that's fair? Because that is fair. That's fair for the client and that's fair for the candidate. Now, so I'm sure you're asking, what if the client says no to an early review? First of all, clients shouldn't, because if someone did prove their worth, they should be fine with that. But let's just say the client says no. Have you guys ever calculated what $10,000 addition salary is? Because I know $5,000 additional to salary equals about $2.25 to $2.50, depending on how many hours you work, additional per hour per year. So when you do that math, then you know, obviously, that it's no more than $5 per hour of working. Additional is $10,000. And then you have to think of after taxes. So in reality, $10,000, give or take for either side, isn't that much of a difference. So you definitely do have to play all those things out, because $10,000 sounds like a lot, but when you average it out over a year, it's really not that much money after taxes. So there's a couple things that can be done. If for some reason the candidate is really stuck on this 10K, you can go back to the client and you can offer up maybe a little bit of your fee. That's always an idea that you don't want to jump at this, but you can say to the client, look, so-and-so really wanted 160. They have 3 kids, significant other doesn't work. This is really important to them. is there any way, if they can't get an early review, which I think you still should, what if I gave 5K towards my fee and then you give another 5K and we meet in the middle? That's a win. And then you need to have cold hard facts, right? You have to think back to how long has this client been looking for this particular role to be filled? So let's say it's been 3 months, 4 months. You've spent the last 3 months interviewing for this person. You finally found them. Let's not, fight over 5 to 10K. That's just silly, because now you're going to be looking for another 3 to 4 months. You need this work done. This takes, power and time out of your engineer's day, your hiring manager's day. You have to really lay out cold, hard facts, not only to the candidate, but to the client. So if the candidate doesn't interview well, it is not on you as a recruiter, it is on the candidate. But also, if the client still does want them, then you have to remind them that they do want them. And that's how you negotiate. But I will tell you again, that is not an easy conversation to have, because it needs to be very direct and it needs to really be emotionless from your side, and you need to put it on the candidate, and it is not mean whatsoever. They have to know. And you can even go back to the interview. Did you feel like you aced the interview? So you would already have known those things. Remember, that's why the post on-site call is so important. You will ask that candidate, do you feel like it went really well? Is there anything you could have done better at? Because guess what? I would say, I've run into some really cocky candidates, but I would say probably 90% of candidates completely know that they've messed up, and they know where they've messed up, and they know where they could have done better. So if you have those notes, guess what? So-and-so, you told me you didn't do well in the 3rd interview. Again, this is not a confrontational moment. This is not mean. This is not putting someone down. These are cold, hard facts, and that is how you negotiate. And then when the emotion comes in is you say, remember, this is your top choice company. You can see yourself here for many years. Let's not make a silly decision and not move forward there, because I know you want to. That's when the emotion comes back. So recap really quickly, cold, hard facts. That's when it's emotionless. Then you bring on the emotion, but we definitely do that shit sandwich. The good, the bad, the really good, and make it all nice. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this. Again, closing is fun, but there's moving parts and you have to know lots. And even if you're just starting out, maybe it's literally 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, there's still so much that you haven't experienced yet, so therefore you don't know. So put those comments down there. I want to hear some more questions. I want to hear some more cool things about closing, weird situations perhaps, because that always makes it fun. And I will see you every Thursday at noon. And don't forget that money is just a vessel that lets you do all the amazing things you want to do. So go do it. See you next week.